Felicia Kreuzer is the assistant curator in charge of early wireless, that's pre-1920, and telegraph. Felicia comes up in her Marconi uniform.
Yeah, this uniform just fit me. I had to dye it for weeks. And I'm hoping the buttons don't pop, but it's on. Well, this message from Ed Gable, who is honored today and could not attend. He does send his congratulations and wishes he could be here with you. And I'll get on with my part of the presentation. This is an example of the type of spark key that would be used at the same time as your founders began Radio Club of America. And this is the type of jacket that would have been worn. It's hard to believe in this age of the iPhone that the simple sounds of spark that you just heard were all that you would hear in the airwaves. Isn't it amazing when you think about it? We've taken so much for granted over the years. Radio, television, and now we can log on to the internet and communicate all over. This is the same type of key that Jack Phillips would have used on the Titanic. But it was the spirit. It was the spark of curiosity, the spirit of fellowship, and a place to meet, the Ansonia Hotel. If you had a chance to look on your website, you'd learn a lot about what your founders, those young men, 14, 15 years old, how they began. Stokes, Weddy Stokes, your first president, his father was the owner of the Ansonia Hotel, so he provided a place for everyone to meet. Stokes was quite a character. He wanted fresh eggs for his tenants at the hotel, so he started a little farm on the roof, 17 floors up. He had chickens and geese, and I believe they said even pigs, up on the roof, but they shut him down. The Board of Health got involved when they heard about it in 1907, and they shut him down. Here's a picture of your first 4 presidents. Weddy Stokes, Frank King, George Eltz, and Edwin Howard Armstrong, the most honored of your members. It was Stokes, at 14 years old, who came here to Washington to fight the Depew Bill, and he won. They killed the bill here in Washington back in 1910 and kept the airwaves open for amateurs. Every member at the time had to make their equipment from scratch. There were no heat kits in those days. Armstrong began his term as president in 1916, and the club's activities were temporarily suspended during the war. They were called to serve with the Allies. Armstrong, Harry Howe, and Harlow Harding were 3 of those members. Here's an example of your first yearbook, the 25th anniversary yearbook. We have that yearbook. We have an example of that yearbook and all the other yearbooks in our AWA library, as well as an incomplete collection of the RCA proceedings. Now, if anyone has a complete collection, we'd love to hear about it. Armstrong. If anyone hasn't heard about Armstrong, they really should learn a little bit more. But if the Radio Club of America in 1990 has a legacy of Armstrong that was put out, I don't know if there's any more copies available. We do have it in our library. And it's a wonderful history and tribute to Armstrong's inventions. All the inventions today, all his inventions are in use and have helped us become what we are today, to be able to hear what we hear today. Armstrong was a genius, he was a renegade, and he was a patriot. He had a habit of climbing to high heights and showing off. And he had a red motorcycle, a red Indian motorcycle, that he whizzed back and forth to Columbia University when he was first at the university. And he was not afraid to serve his country when called, both in World War I and World War II. He was also, for those young fellows that started in Radio Club of America, he was their idol. He had more tubes than anyone. Most of them could only afford one audion. He had many audions. They were really impressed. And he strung a line of antenna 1 mile in either direction along an embankment. He became a member, and this is when he was first president in 1916. This is a copy of his membership check that we found online. $4 was a good deal in those days. I think it's gone up a little since then. Now this is an example of a painting that we have in the Antique Wireless Association. It shows Armstrong and his first major invention, the regenerative set. Armstrong invented this in 1913, and he took DeForest. He believed that DeForest never quite understood what he had done when he put the grid in. I'm getting to it. Yeah. Harry Houck is to his right. Harry Houck worked with Armstrong in World War I, and he helped him to invent his second great invention, which I will get to shortly. There's a story about Harry Houck and how he managed to meet up with Armstrong in France. He was on his way, and he got violently ill when he landed in France. So what happened subsequently is the base hospital didn't quite treat him the way he wanted to be treated. I guess he was delirious. In the meantime, in the confusion, the base hospital pronounced him dead and relayed that message to his family. And in any event, he managed to find Armstrong, and they straightened it all out, but his family had been notified, and they were very much relieved, I'm sure, to hear that he was miraculously had become alive again. This example of the patent model of the regenerative set with the DeForest audion on the top is actually here on display. It's been at our AWA museum for years. It was donated, and it's something that you can walk right over and see after this presentation.